Hello guys. So today we shall be discussing different kinds of the nuclei which are located in the hypothalamus. These are also called as hypothalamic nuclei. Okay. So our topic of discussion would be regarding the hypothalamic nuclei. Hypothalamic nuclei. Now, whenever you discuss about this hypothalamic nuclei, one very important thing you need to know that this hypothalamic nuclei are many. Okay. So this hypothalamic nuclei, for our easy sake, right, for our convenience sake, we have divided this hypothalamic nuclei into two different zones. One is called as a medial zone and the other one is called as a lateral zone. Okay. So these hypothalamic nuclei are disposed. Okay. These hypothalamic nuclei are disposed in the form of zones. So how many zones do we have? We have got two important zones. One is called as a medial zone and the other one is called as the lateral zone. So we have got two important zones over here. Okay, one zone is called as the medial zone. And the other zone is called as your lateral zone. So we have got two different types of zones. So one is called as a medial zone and the other one is called as your lateral zone. Now within the medial zone I will draw all of these things, but before we discuss all these zones, first you need to know that within this medial zone again we divide into regions. Okay, how many regions do we have? We have got three regions. One region is in the front called as anterior region, another region is in the middle called as a middle region, and next we have got the posterior region. Okay, so medial zone is also divided into three important regions. What are those three important regions? One is called as anterior region, another one is called as the middle region. Now one very important thing you need to know, that middle region is also called as tubular region. It is also called as tubular region. And the third important thing is called as a posterior region. Third important thing is called as the posterior region. So how many regions do we have over here? We have got three important regions. One is called as the anterior region. Next we have got the middle region, or also called as the tubular region, and third is the posterior region. So these are the regions of medial zone or the lateral zone. These are the regions of your medial zone. Okay. Now if you have to understand what are the nuclei that are located in the anterior zone, middle zone and posterior zone, together there are around more than 5 nuclei which are located. Okay, so to discuss all these 6 or 7 nuclei whatever are there, it would be easy if you discuss when you divide these nuclei into zones. That is why we have divided into anterior, middle and posterior. Now to understand what are these nuclei, what are the names of the nuclei, you have to know what are the structures that are located in the medial surface of the cerebral hemisphere. For example, this is your cerebral hemisphere. Now in this cerebral hemisphere, this is called as a right cerebellar hemisphere and this is called as a left cerebellar hemisphere. Now both the cerebral hemispheres join together. Okay, and this surface which you can see is called as a supralateral surface. This surface also which you can see is called as a supralateral surface. Okay, so both the sides of the cerebral hemispheres, these surfaces are called supralateral surfaces. Now if I wanted to see another surface, what I have to do? I have to divide, I have to separate the cerebral hemispheres like this, and this surface which you can see inside, this surface is called as a medial surface. Okay, so now what I will do is that I will draw a picture of this medial surface and then I will explain you what are the nuclei that are located over here. If you already know with this picture, you can fast forward the video, right? If this is the first lecture which you are watching, I want you to watch the total video, right? So let us draw the medial surface of the cerebral hemisphere. So in the medial surface, this is how the picture looks. So this is your medial surface, right? So what is the difference between the supralateral and medial is that in the medial surface here we have got a structure like this. This structure which you can see right now is nothing but called as your corpus callosum. Okay, so this structure over here is called as corpus callosum. So I have discussed I have discussed what is corpus callosum, what are the different parts of corpus callosum previously in detailed lecture. Okay. So corpus callosum is a type of which fiber? Corpus callosum is a type of your commissural fibers. Okay, it is a type of your commissural fibers. What is the use of corpus callosum? Corpus callosum connects the right cerebral hemisphere with the left cerebral hemisphere. That is the use of corpus callosum. That is why you call it as a commissural fibers. Okay. So within this corpus callosum, there are different parts. For example, if you take this one, this is called as the head of the corpus callosum, or you can also call it as the gnu of the corpus callosum. Okay. So what do you call this particular structure as? This structure is called as a gnu of corpus callosum. Okay. Now what we shall do is that we shall for our easy sake, we shall make a copy of this picture over here. Okay. We shall make another copy of this picture over here and then draw it down along with the nuclei here. Okay. So I'll make you understand why did I put two copies over here. Okay. So here one very important thing you need to know, this particular structure over here is called as the gnu of your corpus callosum. Now after this gnu of the corpus callosum, you got a structure that is hanging down like this. You see, this structure which is hanging down is called as the rostrum of corpus callosum. So what this structure is called? This structure over here is called as your rostrum. Rostrum of your corpus callosum. Just in front of the rostrum, you have got one more structure like this. Okay, you see this structure? This structure which is located in front of the rostrum is nothing but called as your corpus. This is called as your anterior commissure. What is this called as? You call this particular one as anterior commissure. So this one is called as your anterior commissure. Right, after the anterior commissure you have got posterior commissure also. I will tell you where this posterior commissure is located. Right, obviously anterior commissure is nothing but your commissural fibers. Okay, so anterior commissure is connecting the right and left structures. So what structures is it connecting? I have already discussed in case of commissural fibers. Next, below this you have got an elongated stalk like projection. See, this elongated stalk like projection is nothing but called as lamina terminalis. Okay, so this particular structure over here is nothing but called as your lamina terminalis. This particular structure here is called as lamina terminalis. Now beneath this lamina terminalis over here you have got a ball like structure. Okay, beneath this lamina terminalis you have got a ball like structure all the way like this. So this structure which you can see over here is nothing but called as your optic chiasma. Okay, so this structure over here is called as your optic chiasma. This structure over here is called as your optic chiasma. So what are the structures that are located from top to bottom? One is called as the gnu, another one is called as the rostrum. Next you have got the anterior commissure, after that you have got the lamina terminalis, and then you have got the optic chiasma. Now just side to this optic chiasma, you have got a structure which is red in color like this. This structure is called as optic stalk. Okay, or you can call it as optic tract. So this structure over here you call it as optic tract. So this one over here is called as optic tract. Okay, behind the optic chiasma you have got optic tract. Okay, so if you look at this thing which I will be drawing right now, it will be completely clear for you. So this is what I am trying to tell you, that you see this is your eyeball over here and this is your eyeball over here, let us say. Okay, now from there you see this nerve that is coming. These nerves are called as optic nerves. So one on the right side, one on the left side. Okay, now both the optic nerves, what will happen? They partially decussate like this. Partially decussation. Decussation matlab they cross. They partially cross. Partially cross why? I will tell you in a separate lecture on optic chiasma. So they partially decussate like that, like this, into two more structures. These two more structures are called as optic tracts. So this one is called as your optic nerve. This is called as your optic chiasma, and this third one is called as your optic tract, okay, and finally they will end up in the geniculate bodies. These are called as your geniculate bodies, okay. See, this is optic chiasma. Behind optic chiasma, what do you have? You have got optic tract. See, here also optic chiasma first, and behind optic chiasma you have got your optic tract, okay. Why did I tell partial decussation? In the sense, see, for example, this is the medial side. I mean, this is the nose in the center, all of you know, this is the nose in the center, right? So from the medial side also you have got retina, right? So let us say this is the retina on the medial side, let us say this is the retina on the lateral side, okay, or you can also call it as the temporal side. Now from the retina of the lateral side, you see fibers are coming like this. These fibers, they are oppositely going, or they are present on the same side? They are present on the same side. Even on the left side also, see, they are present on the same side. But if you look at the fibers from the medial part of the retina, the fibers are coming like this and they are decussiating onto the opposite side. So tell me, is this decussiation, I mean completely all fibers, the red and blue, all of them are crossing over? No. Only the red one is, only the blue one is crossing over and the red one is ipsilateral, right? So that is why I called it as partial decussation. So here you have got your optic chiasma, behind that you have got your optic tract. After that, this particular structure which I will be drawing right now, this is called as tuber cinerem. What is this called as? This is called as your tuber cinerem. Okay, I hope I am deleting this, I hope you understood, right? So this particular structure over here is called as your tuber cinerem. This particular structure over here is called as a tuber cinerem. Now what is going to happen over here? What is going to happen over here is that the tuber cinerem, they join together to form this structure, a V-shaped structure. This is called as medial eminence, or a conical like projection. This is called as medial eminence. So this is called as your medial eminence. This is called as your medial eminence, okay. So what is this called as? This is called as your medial eminence. Now hanging down from this medial eminence, you got another important structure like this. Hanging down like this, you got another important structure. To this structure, a part of the pituitary gland is attached. So this structure is called, and by the way, let me complete this picture. This is another part of the pituitary gland. So what is this complete structure here? This complete structure is nothing but called as a pituitary gland. Now in this pituitary gland, if you see, this part of the pituitary gland which you can see is called as pituitary stalk. This is called as pituitary stalk. Okay, this is called as a pituitary stalk. So this is called as a pituitary stalk. Now within this pituitary stalk, can I say that pituitary stalk is in continuation with this blue color structure? You know what is this blue color structure by the name? This blue color structure is called as pars nervosa. This is called as pars nervosa. Okay, you know what is the other name for this pars nervosa? This is called as posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary. You know what is the other name for posterior pituitary? Neurohypophysis. The other name for this posterior pituitary is your neurohypophysis, right? Next one is called as your anterior pituitary. Next one is called as your anterior pituitary, or you can call it as adenohypophysis. Adenohypophysis. So we have got two important pituitaries. We have got one is called as the anterior pituitary and the other one is called as the posterior pituitary or the neurohypophysis. Okay, and remember one thing, this adenohypophysis has nothing to do with the pituitary stalk. Okay, so pituitary stalk is in continuous with only one structure, that is called as the posterior pituitary or neurohypophysis. Okay, clear? Right. Next important thing you need to see here is that just side to this tuber cinerem over here, you have got another important structure. So this structure which you can see here is called as your mammillary bodies. Why am I calling it as mammillary bodies? Because we have got two mammillary bodies. From the side you can only see one body, right? On the other side you can see the other body. So these bodies over here are called as your mammillary bodies. Mammillary bodies. Okay. Next, behind this mammillary bodies, you see this area like this, right? So this area, what is happening with this area is that this area has some perforations. You see, this area, this substance is having some perforations. So this substance of the brain which is having perforations is called posterior perforated substance. Okay. So this one over here, you call it as a posterior perforated substance. Posterior perforated substance. So this one over here is called as a posterior perforated substance. Now behind this posterior perforated substance is what? We have our midbrain. So this part is called as your midbrain. Actually, by looking at this picture, the midbrain has to be somewhere here, right? But why am I drawing it at the back? It is because of the structures which are present over here. So I had to draw this on the back side. But actually, if you look at this will be in the center. There might be little bit irregularities in the picture, but just ignore those irregularities. Okay. So here we have got our midbrain like this. Okay. Now within this midbrain, another important thing I want to tell you is that let me make a cross mark over here. Okay. So this is your midbrain. Now within this midbrain, you see this structure which is present within the midbrain like this. You see a duct in the center of the midbrain. Yeah, you see a duct in the center of the midbrain. This duct in the center of the midbrain is nothing but called as your cerebral aqueduct. Okay, so this is called as your cerebral aqueduct. Cerebral aqueduct or aqueduct of Sylvius, right? And next important thing you need to remember is that above this cerebral aqueduct, whatever midbrain you can see, right? So you see all this part of the midbrain that is located above the cerebral aqueduct, this part is called as a tegment of the midbrain. So dorsal to the cerebral aqueduct, not ventral, dorsal to the cerebral aqueduct or posterior to the cerebral aqueduct or above the cerebral aqueduct, that part of the midbrain, you should call it as what? You should call it as tegmentum of the midbrain. Tegmentum of the midbrain. So that part of the midbrain you call it as a tegmentum of the midbrain. Okay, so this is called as a tegmentum of the midbrain. Okay. Now, next important thing is that here on the back side, you have got a small gland like structure. This gland like structure over here is called as your pineal gland. This gland like structure is called as your pineal gland. Okay. Now all the way from this pineal gland you see a stalk like projection that is coming, friend. This stalk like projection is called as pineal stalk. This stalk like projection is called as your pineal stalk. So you have got one is called as a pineal gland, next you have got as a pineal stalk. And after that you see this structure that is going up and another structure that is coming down. So the structure that is going up and coming down, right? So one is called as a superior lamina and the structure that is going down is called as the inferior lamina. Okay, so what is going to happen is that this superior lamina goes anteriorly forward, again posteriorly backward, again anteriorly forward, and then goes and attaches like this. Okay, now when it comes to the inferior lamina straight away comes and attaches here. Clear all of you? Right. So this is your inferior lamina. Next important thing, if you very closely look at the superior lamina, near the superior lamina here you have got a commissure. If you look at the inferior lamina also, here you have got a commissure. Now the commissure which is located near the superior lamina, you might think in front of it there is a commissure called anterior commissure. So this will be called as a posterior commissure, but no, this is called as a habenular commissure. This commissure over here is called as your habenular commissure. In the same way, the commissure that is located down here, this is called as your posterior commissure. This is called as your posterior commissure. Okay, so one is called as your habenular commissure and the other one is called as your posterior commissure. Now, next important thing is that if this is called as a GNU, okay, behind this GNU, this entire structure which I will be highlighting now, you see with the yellow, right? So, this entire structure which I will be highlighting with the yellow like this part over here is called as your body, okay. So, this entire part over here is called as your body. This entire part over here is called as the body of your what? Body of your corpus callosum. And down here you have got another structure with the green color. So, this structure which is located with the green is called as the splenium, okay. So, what do you call this particular structure? This is called as your splenium of corpus callosum. So, what are the different parts of corpus callosum we have got? One is we have got the GNU of the corpus callosum. Just above that we have got the body of the corpus callosum. After that we have got the splenium of the corpus callosum. Now here if you see the superior lamina, inferior lamina, right? Between the superior and inferior lamina you see a triangular space over here. You see between the superior and inferior lamina you see this triangular space. This triangular space, where is it located? It is located exactly in front of pineal stalk, right, or in front of pineal gland. So, this triangular opening is, this triangular recess like thing is called as pineal recess. This is called as pineal recess, okay. Next important thing is that you also see a recess that is located on the top of the pineal recess like this, okay. So, the recess that is located on the top of the pineal recess over here, this is called as suprapineal recess. So, if one is called as a pineal recess and this is called as your suprapineal recess, okay. So, one is called as pineal recess, other one is called as suprapineal recess. Now, touching all the way from the body, okay, all the way from the body till the splenium, you see body is this red color one, not the body, the GNU is the red color one and the splenium is the green color one. Touching both of them, you have got a third structure like this. This structure over here is called as a fornix. So, what is this structure over here? This is called as your fornix, okay. Now, if you very clearly look here, you see a cavity here. You see this cavity in the center, this cavity which I am drawing right now, right. So, let me completely shade it down, right. You see this cavity. So, this cavity which I am highlighting right now with the green is nothing but called as your cavity of third ventricle. So, this is the cavity of third ventricle or cavity of diencephalon. Now, this cavity of third ventricle or diencephalon, I am dividing it into two halves like this, see. Cavity of the third ventricle or diencephalon, I am dividing it into two halves. What are the two halves? Above this line whatever I have drawn, that is called as, above this line whatever I have drawn is called as thalamus. Below this line whatever I have drawn is called as hypothalamus. So, above this line whatever I have drawn is called as thalamus. Below this line whatever I have drawn is called as hypothalamus. So, instead of writing the hypothalamus completely like this, I have to show some structures over here. Just I will write it as HY in the sense, just think that it is hypothalamus, okay. Now, where are the hypothalamic nuclei? Our topic of discussion is hypothalamic nuclei. In the hypothalamic nuclei, we discuss two important zones, medial and lateral zone. Tell me which surface is this? This surface is a lateral surface or this surface is a medial surface? This entire picture is a medial surface. So, now we are discussing about the medial zone. In the medial zone, we divided the medial zone into anterior, middle as well as a posterior. It means within this hypothalamus, we are going to divide it into anterior, middle as well as a posterior components. All of you just look here now, right. So, if you carefully look, this part which I am highlighting right now, you see this part which I am highlighting right now, see this part which I am highlighting right now is nothing but called as an anterior zone. Where is the anterior zone present? The anterior zone is present, or not zone, anterior region, right? Anterior region is present above the optic chiasma, okay. Where is the middle region present? middle region is present exactly above, you see this is your middle region. Where is your middle region present? Middle region is present exactly above your tuber cinereum. Okay, and where is the posterior region present? So this is your posterior region. Where is your posterior region present? Posterior region is present above your mammillary bodies. So one thing you need to note it down over here is that where is the, here itself I will write it down. Okay, there is no space over here. So we discussed three important regions, right? What are the three important regions? We discussed one is called as an anterior region. We discussed another one is called as a middle region. Middle region, and middle region is also given another name that is called as your tubular region, right? So middle region or tubular region, middle region or tubular region, and the last region is called as a posterior region. So now tell me, where is this anterior region, middle region and tubular region, posterior region located? Anterior region is located here above this optic chiasma, right? So that is located above optic chiasma. Okay. After that, where is the middle region located? Middle region is located above the tuber cinereum. It is located above tuber cinereum. And after that, where is the in posterior region located? Posterior region is located above the mammillary body. It is located above the mammillary body. Okay, it is located above the mammillary body. Now in this anterior region we have got some nuclei, in the middle region also we have got some nuclei, and in the posterior region also we have got some nuclei. In this picture I can draw the nuclei, but I cannot write down the names because there are many nuclei. If I have to write down the names, you see all the names here will be disturbed. So for that reason the same picture I will be drawing here very fastly without labeling the things, okay, without labeling the things. So it would be like a quick review for you guys also. So as I will be drawing, you will be telling me the names, okay. So then I will draw what are the things that are necessary over the nuclei and all. So here first important thing, once again, this is called as what? This is called as your genu, and after that the back portion over here is called as what? This is called as your splenium. Now behind the genu and the splenium, this structure of the corpus callosum is what is called as your body of the corpus callosum. Next, down here you have got a structure which is in this way. What is this? This structure I call it as fornix. Okay. Next, another structure that is hanging down all the way like this. What is this called as? This is called as your rostrum. Just beneath the rostrum you see another structure which is hanging down all the way like this, right? So this structure is called as terminalis. What terminalis? Lamina terminalis. Next, to the tip of lamina terminalis over here you see a rounded structure. What is this rounded structure, by the way, called as? This is called as your optic chiasma. So this rounded structure over here is called as your optic chiasma. Next, side to this optic chiasma you have got another structure like this. This one over here is called as your what? Optic tract. This is called as your optic tract. Next, after this optic tract, here you have got another structure. This is called as tuber cinereum. You see, this is called as tuber cinereum, and the tuber cinereum together form a conical projection, and this is called as medial eminence. Now hanging down from the medial eminence you see a stalk. This stalk is called as a pituitary stalk. Pituitary stalk is in continuous with a structure over here, and this structure is called as your pars nervosa or posterior pituitary. Next, attached to this pars nervosa or posterior pituitary you have got anterior pituitary. Okay. Next important thing, just behind this we have got another important structure all the way like this. This structure over here is called as your mammillary body, right? Now after this mammillary body discussion is done, you see this substance over here, right, which is perforated all the way like this. So these perforations are called as a posterior perforated substance, right? And exactly back of this posterior perforated substance you have got what is called as your midbrain. So this is called as your midbrain, and again within the midbrain also you have got such division over here. You see, You got such division over here. See, this is called as what? This is called as cerebral aqueduct. Okay, this is called as cerebral aqueduct. Next important thing I told you, that on the back here you have got a structure. This is called as your posterior. No, this is called as what? Pineal gland. Next, attached to this pineal gland, what is this structure? This is called as your pineal stalk. Now, pineal stalk has got two important projections. One is called as the superior laminae, another one is called as your inferior laminae. Okay, so this is your superior laminae, this is your inferior laminae. Superior lamina, what does it do? This would go anteriorly forward, then posteriorly backward, again anteriorly forward, and go and attach to the splenium. Now, when it comes to inferior lamina will go all the way and attach down. This thing you know till here, right? Next important thing, what did I tell you? This cavity of the third ventricle is divided into two parts in this way, right? Is divided into two parts in this way. The above one, the upper one is called as your thalamus, and the lower one is called as your hypothalamus. And this hypothalamus also is divided into three regions. So this particular region which I am shading right now, this particular region is called as your anterior region. Okay, after this anterior region, the next important region over here is called as the middle region. This is called as your middle region. Okay, after this middle region, the next region which is on the back where the mammillary body is located, right? So this is called as the posterior region. So how many regions we have got? We have got anterior region, middle region, as well as a posterior region. Now let us enter into the real topic, that what are the nuclei that are located in the anterior region. Okay, so what we shall do is that we shall write it as anterior region, we shall write it as middle, or you can also call it as the tubular region, and next we can also write it as a posterior region, anterior, middle, as well as a posterior. Now let me draw the nuclei. So the first nucleus that is located all the way here, this particular nucleus over here, right? So this particular nucleus over here is called as paraventricular nucleus. What is this nucleus? This nucleus over here is called as your paraventricular nucleus. So this one over here is called as your paraventricular nucleus. Okay, after this paraventricular nucleus, the next nucleus that is located in the anterior part over here, this nucleus over here is called as your anterior nucleus. After paraventricular, this nucleus over here is called as your anterior nucleus. This is called as your anterior nucleus. Now after this anterior nucleus, if you look very carefully over here, above the optic chiasma here, there is a nucleus, right? So this nucleus which is located above the optic chiasma is called as suprachiasmatic nucleus. Okay, so this one over here is called as your suprachiasmatic nucleus. Next, after suprachiasmatic nucleus, in front of that you have got another nucleus like this, you see? In front of that you have got another nucleus. This nucleus is called as preoptic nucleus. This one over here is called as preoptic nucleus. Okay, so one is called as a preoptic nucleus, another one is called as a suprachiasmatic nucleus. After the preoptic and suprachiasmatic, back here you have got another nucleus. Okay, so where is this nucleus located? This pink one. This pink one is located exactly above optic tract. That is why you call this nucleus as supraoptic nucleus. Okay, so this nucleus over here is called as your supraoptic nucleus. Okay, so we have got three important nuclei here. What are these three important nuclei? One nuclei which you have over here is called as the preoptic nucleus. Above the chiasma, you have got it as the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Behind that, above the optic tract, you have got the supraoptic nucleus. And next, apart from that, just above that, we have got two more nuclei. One is called as a paraventricular nucleus, another one is called as an anterior nucleus. So can I tell that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all these 5 nuclei are located in the anterior region of the medial zone, right? anterior region of the medial zone of hypothalamus. So these are the nuclei that are located there. Next, after this, the next important thing is the middle region. So what are the nuclei we have got in the middle region? So in the middle region, we have got three important nuclei. See here. See, this is one important nuclei over here. After that, this is the second important nuclei over here. After that, this is a third important nuclei over here. Okay. So what are these three important nuclei? See, this nucleus which you can see here is called as dorsomedian nucleus. Why are you calling it as median? Because these nuclei which we are discussing regarding what? The medial zone. So this is called as a dorsomedian nucleus. After the dorsomedian nucleus, the next nucleus over here which you have is ventromedian nucleus. Ventromedian nucleus. Okay, and after that the last one over here is called as your arcuate nucleus. Arcuate nucleus. So how many nuclei are there in the middle zone? We have got only 3 nuclei. Now how many nuclei are there in the posterior zone? We have got only 2 nuclei. See here, this is one nucleus over here, and just beneath that we have got another nucleus over here. There are 2 nuclei. What are those 2 nuclei? One is called as a lateral nuclei. So this nucleus over here is called as the lateral nucleus, and this black nucleus over here is called as your posterior nucleus. Posterior nucleus. Okay. So these are the nuclei which are located over here. So let us just read out what are the medial nuclei here. So one nucleus we have got is the dorsomedian nucleus and ventromedian nucleus and also arcuate nucleus. Next, the nucleus which is located behind or posteriorly, one is called as a lateral nucleus, another one is called as a posterior nucleus. So in this way, we covered all the different nuclei which are located within the hypothalamus. Okay. So let us write it down. What are the different nuclei that are located in the hypothalamus over here? So in the anterior part, okay, in the anterior part, how many nuclei do I have? In the anterior part, I have got 5 nuclei. Okay, so what are these 5 nuclei? One is called as the supraoptic nucleus. Supraoptic nucleus. Another one is called as the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Okay. Third one over here is called as a preoptic nucleus. Fourth one over here is called as a paraventricular nucleus. Paraventricular nucleus. Fifth one over here is called as your anterior nucleus. Anterior nucleus. Okay, so these are the 5 nuclei that are located. Now after these 5 nuclei, let us say what are the nuclei that are located in the middle part. In the middle part, how many we have got? We have got 3 important nuclei. What are those 3 important nuclei? One is called as a dorsomedian, another one is called as a ventromedian, and third one over here is called as the arcuate nucleus. So we have got the dorsomedian, nucleus, we have got the ventromedian nucleus, and next we have got the arcuate nucleus. Arcuate nucleus. Okay, this is the nucleus which we have located in the middle zone. And after that, the nucleus which is located in the posterior zone. What are the nuclei that are located in the posterior zone? Only 2 nuclei. One is called as a lateral nucleus. Another one is called as a posterior nucleus. Lateral nucleus as well as the posterior nucleus. Okay, so these are the nuclei that are located in the posterior zone. So this is what is called, these are some of the important things which you need to know, that the nuclei that are located in the medial zone. Right guys, so we have discussed all these medial surface, right? On the medial zone, we have discussed the nuclei dividing into anterior, middle and the posterior region. Now there is an other way of classifying these nuclei. Okay, so what is an other way of classifying nuclei is that, so in this way however you are classifying this nuclei, in this way both medial and lateral side nuclei also will be covered. Okay, so what are these nuclei? Important thing you need to know is that we divide right now, we divide into 3 rows. Previously we divided into regions, right? Now what I am telling you is we will divide the entire hypothalamic nuclei, not entire. Here they are divided into 3 regions, and what are these? Yes, what are these? This is completely comprising of medial zone only. And you know, lateral zone is a satiety center. Remember that thing. Lateral zone is a satiety center. So it is completely comprising of the medial zone only. Now, keeping in mind the medial zone and lateral zone together, we divide the entire hypothalamic nuclei into 3 rows. What are these 3 rows? One is called as the anterior row, another one is called as a middle row, and the third one is called as a posterior row. So here it is divided into 3 rows. So what are those 3 rows? Anterior, middle as well as a posterior. Anterior row, middle row, as well as a posterior row. So anterior row, middle row as well as a posterior row. Now what we shall do is that we shall write down it as like this. So first we shall write down the posterior row, okay, and after that we shall write down the middle row, next we shall write down the anterior row. Anterior row. Okay, so what are the 3 rows? Here we have got the posterior row, we have got the middle row, and we have got the anterior row. So there are the 3 important rows over here. Now within these 3 rows, here again we have got 2 important things. What are those 2 important things? One is called as a medial, another one is called as a lateral, right? On the medial side we have got nuclei, on the lateral side that is a medial zone, lateral zone, right? So medial zone, another one is the lateral zone, medial as well as the lateral zone. Okay, so now let us list out all these nuclei over here. Coming to the posterior row, okay, in the posterior row, in the medial zone, what nuclei we have got? We have got the first nucleus, that is called as a posterior nucleus. Posterior nucleus. After that we have got another nuclei called as mammillary body nucleus. See guys, here we have discussed in the posterior side only lateral as well as a posterior nucleus, right? So lateral as well as the posterior nucleus. So all of you look here, what are the nuclei? Lateral nuclei and posterior nuclei. But actually there is also a third nuclei. Third nuclei is this one. You know what is this? This is the mammillary body nucleus. Okay, so even we have the third important thing, that is the mammillary body nuclei. Okay, so in the medial side, we have got posterior nucleus, we have got mammillary body nucleus. Mammillary body nucleus. Now when it comes to the lateral side, in the lateral side do we have posterior? No, we have got lateral nuclei. Lateral side we have got the lateral nuclei. We have got the lateral nucleus. We even have got the same mammillary body nucleus. Mammillary body nucleus. Next, when it comes to the middle row, in the middle row we have got 2 important nuclei. One is called as a dorsomedial, ventromedial. Dorsomedial nucleus, ventromedial nucleus. When it comes to the lateral side, here we have got arcuate nucleus. We have got arcuate nucleus. Next, when it comes to the anterior row, we have got a nucleus in the anterior row, that is paraventricular nuclei. Paraventricular nuclei, we have got the supraoptic nuclei. Supraoptic nuclei, and here we have got the anterior nuclei. Anterior nucleus, and we have also got the supraoptic nucleus. Supraoptic nucleus, anterior nucleus as well as the supraoptic nucleus, right? Now next important thing you need to know here is that, so if I ask you what is the nuclei that is located in the posterior lobe lateral side, what will you tell? That is your arcuate. If I ask the nuclei that is located in the posterior row, middle row lateral side, that is arcuate. Posterior row medial side, you will tell it as posterior nucleus as well as the mammillary body. Now, dividing this medial nuclei and lateral nuclei, in between both of them, okay, in between both of them, if you very clearly see, there are nerve fibers. You see, these are not lines that I am separating here. These are actually bundle of nerve fibers which I am drawing between the lateral as well as the medial zone. Okay. So, these bundle of nerve fibers which I am drawing here, right. So, these bundle of nerve fibers are comprising of what? So, these bundle of nerve fibers, So, first of all, what are these bundle of nerve fibers? Where are they located? They are located between the medial as well as the lateral zone, and these bundle of nerve fibers are comprising of what? They are comprising of three important fibers. Okay. So, how many types of fibers are located within these bundles? There are three important fibers together that form the bundle of nerve fibers. So, what are those three important fibers? One is called as a column of fornix. Another one is called as a mammillothalamic tract. And third one is called as a fasciculus retroflexus. Okay, this is called as fasciculus retroflux. So, fibers of column of fornix, fibers of mammillothalamic tract and fibers of fasciculus retroflex, all these fibers, they join together and they form these bundles. These bundles, where are they located? They are located in between the medial as well as the lateral, medial zone as well as the lateral zone. Next important thing is that here, if you very clearly see, just side to the medial zone, okay, side to the medial zone, here you have got another important thing. You know what is this important thing which I am drawing? This important thing over here is lined by some very important cells. These cells are called as simple cuboidal cells. So, what are these simple cuboidal cells? These simple cuboidal cells are found in where? They are found in the ventricles. Okay, you know, lining your ventricles, you have got simple cuboidal cells. Yes or no? So, these are those simple cuboidal cells which are present like this. So, where are these simple cuboidal cells present? These simple cuboidals are present just nearer to your medial zone. Okay, now zone, right? Now, next important thing is that if you very clearly see, okay, if you very clearly see, you can find another group of bundle of fibers. See here, for example, you see here I am drawing some group of bundle of fibers, right? So, these bundle of fibers, where are they located? These bundle of fibers are located in between the medial zone, right? The medial nuclei and also your ependymal cells. Yes or no? They are located in between your medial nuclei as well as your ependymal cells. Between your medial nuclei as well as the ependymal cells, you have got these fibers over here. So, these fibers which are located in between medial nuclei in the sense your posterior, mammillary, dorsomedial, ventromedial, paraventricular, supraoptic, all these are your medial nuclei, and in between what? In between your ependymal cells, these bundle of fibers are nothing but called as periventricular fibers. So, these fibers over here are nothing but called as your periventricular fibers. Okay. So, this is another classification. So, overall guys, what are the things we have discussed over here? So, let us start discussing from the starting onwards. Let us just revise this. I have discussed that hypothalamic nuclei. So, hypothalamic nuclei are disposed. Where are these hypothalamic nuclei located? They are located in the anteroinferior part of your hypothalamus. So, if this is this entire part is your hypothalamus, right? So, anterior part of hypothalamus in the sense this one, inferior part in the sense this one. So, in between anterior and inferior part only, in the anteroinferior region, you have got this hypothalamic nuclei. So, hypothalamic nuclei are disposed in two zones. One is called as a medial zone and the other one is called as a lateral zone. Medial zone again three. One is called as the anterior region, middle region, and next you have got the posterior region. Okay. Now, when it comes to the anterior, middle and posterior, see this part is your anterior region, this is your middle region, and this part is your posterior region. In the anterior region, what are the important things you have got? In the anterior region is located where? It is located above the optic chiasma. You can see in the picture, anterior region is located above the optic chiasma. Middle region is located above this part. What is this? Tuber cinereum. Posterior region is located above your mammillary body. Okay, so here also anterior region located above optic chiasma, above tuber cinereum, and above mammillary body. Next, nucleus that are located in the anterior region. One is called as the anterior nuclei. Next, side to the ventricle, paraventricular nuclei. Next, we have got the preoptic nuclei, suprachiasmatic and supraoptic nuclei. In the middle region, dorsomedian, ventromedian, and arcuate. In the posterior, we have got lateral nucleus as well as a posterior nucleus. So these are the things here. Okay. Next, another way of classifying is the medial zone is divided into the anterior, the middle or the tubular, and the posterior. So this was a thing I have told you, right? Now another way of classifying it in is rows. What are the rows? Anterior row we have got, middle row we have got, posterior row we have got. So in the medial row, these are the nuclei. Posterior nucleus, mammillary body. Here dorsomedian, ventromedian. Here we have got paraventricular, supraoptic. And here also the same nuclei on the other side as well. So between the medial as well as the lateral nuclei, this bundle of fibers are comprising of three types of fibers here. So column of fornix, mammillothalamic tract, and fasciculus retroflex. I will tell you about these three things later on. Next, between the medial nuclei and the ependymal cells, these group of fibers are called as your periventricular fibers. Okay, so this is all you need to know regarding the hypothalamic nuclei, guys. So thank you so much for watching my video. Goodbye.